Welcome to episode 100.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and you're listening to Who Did That Voice, where we take an in-depth look at voiceovers.
There is no better time than right now to plan your vacation getaway. Don't have the time to plan? Use the friendly travel agents at 3D Travel Company by going to our website, www.whodidthatvoice.co, and clicking the Book Now button today on the left-hand side. Hurry and plan your trip today so you can travel away.
Welcome to Who Did That Voice, the show where we take an in-depth look at voiceover. And now, here's your host, Trenton Larkin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 100th episode of Who Did That Voice? Thank you to each and every one of our listeners around the world. We could not be here today without each and every one of you, so thank you guys so very much from the bottom of my heart. Today's special guest is the voice of Pong Krell from Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Stay tuned for a clip and the great interview to follow.
General Krell, you're being relieved of duty.
It's treason, then.
Surrender, General.
You're committing mutiny, Captain.
Explain your actions.
My actions?
For ordering your troops against one another.
Oh, that. I'm surprised you were able to figure it out. For a clone, I will not be undermined by creatures bred in some laboratory.
Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Who Did That Voice? Today on the show, we have Dave Fennoy joining us. Dave, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
It is my pleasure.
Well, Dave, the very first thing that we always like to do when we have a special guest on the show for the first time is get to know them a little bit. So tell me about the young boy Dave growing up into the man he became today, and how did you get into acting, and more specifically, voice acting, Dave?
Well, interesting question. As a kid, I did what a lot of people who end up in this business do. I watched cartoons and I imitated the voices that I heard there. And in my particular vintage, it was a lot of Warner Brothers cartoons and also Hanna-Barbera,
Oh, wow.
With Deputy Dog and Snagglepuss and all those characters. So I was imitating all of those and enjoying those. But I was also I was acting at Caramoo House in Cleveland, which is I want to say community theater, but it's more than that. It's a place where you could learn to play music, you could learn to dance, you could learn to do things like fence,
Oh, wow.
paint, do sculpture. And I fenced, I painted, I did sculpture, I did music, and I did theater.
Wow.
So that kind of got me introduced to the arts. In 7th grade, I was a city kid growing up in Cleveland. My parents sent me to a private boys' school. I was first black kid to go to this school, that's a whole book in and of itself.
Wow, I bet, yeah.
But continued being interested in a variety of things, including, I played sports. I played football and ran track, but I was also president of the Theater Society in my junior and senior year. So that kind of got me going. Then I went to school as a theater major, but I was also playing music, went for a couple of years, dropped out, went on the road playing music.
Wow.
Decided I really needed to, finish up and get a degree. So
Yeah.
I went back to school, but in music.
Nice.
At Howard University. I'd gone to McAllister College in St. Paul, Minnesota first. Met a young lady, got married, had a kid. Was playing music on the East Coast. Got a band together. We recorded an album. Couldn't sell it. My wife at the time got accepted into UC Berkeley in a doctorate program for botany. So we moved to Northern California, and I kind of started easing out of music and easing into radio. Actually, I didn't ease into radio. I jumped feet first into radio.
Wow.
And did 10 years of being a radio guy in the Bay Area, doing various shifts. But the last couple, what people know me most for, was doing mornings at KDIA and KSOL. And that's where I discovered voiceover. A buddy of mine was leaving the station one day early in my career, and this is before I was even on the air. I was writing commercials, and making sure the right spots played in the right place. Continuity director is the name of the job. And a buddy of mine who was a morning guy was leaving. I said, "Hey, where are you going?" He goes, "Well, I'm going over to the city to do some voiceover work. I make more money at that than I do on the radio." And that stuck in my head, and he gave me like a 5-minute spiel on what I'd need to do. Oh, you need a demo tape, you need an agent, and then you can get going. Well, of course, with all that great information, I started working hard on it 2 or 3 years later. But a little light had gone off in my head.
Yeah.
And although I stuck with the radio thing, it just never went away. And I started taking classes in the late 80s and had some good things going on. I was a voice of Marine World Africa USA, their concert series. I was, at that time, they had the 976 number stuff going on. You're way too young to remember that. But you could call and have phone entertainment, and there was a company called Megaphone. I was the voice of the Michael Jackson hotline and the Prince hotline, and they had a romance line for women where you had a pre-recorded story, and I was one of the voices on the pre-recorded story.
Wow.
I mentioned, there you were. I was immediately interested, and then I saw that man grab you and pull you into a van. I jumped in my car and I followed you, and when I had my chance, I saved you. You know, it was that kind of stuff. And then in 1990, I was doing mornings on KSOL, the #1 music station in town. And one day, as radio stations are wont to do, they fired the whole staff.
Wow. No way.
But by this time, I was deep into, hey, I'm going to do voiceover.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my opportunity to go to LA. I had taken a workshop a few months before with a woman named Lee Gilbert, who was an agent at SBV in Los Angeles. And she had given me her card and said, "Hey, look, you're really talented. If you ever want to come to LA, we'd be happy to represent you." Little did I know what a blessing that was.
Yeah.
So this is months later, been fired. I got to find that card. I know that card is someplace. Where is it? Found it, called her. She said, "Yep, come on down." I did, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. Wow, Dave. I mean, that is a rich history. And I mean, wow, I really can't thank you enough for diving into it and giving us a real grasp on who you are. So thank you very much.
Well, my pleasure.
Well, you know, you've done a myriad of different things in the voiceover world. A lot of the things we're going to focus on now kind of dive into more of the animation side of things that you've done, but you've given us such a rich history that we really know a lot more about you, which is super awesome. But one of my favorite shows was called Ben 10, and you played a character named Tetrax on that show.
Yes, Tetrax. Ben, you can't do that. Ben, pay attention.
What was it like getting to be a part of that show and work with that great cast of people? It's a show that I grew up with in my later teens, early 20s, but it really grasped me. It was something unique and new, and now it's just been flourishing. And what was it like to be a part of that in the very beginnings?
Well, you know, it was a gas. You know, I'm probably like everybody else that is on a career path. Every time you get a gig, especially a good one, you're really happy about it. You're excited about it. This was a particularly good one because Ben 10 had already been playing. It was already very popular. And here I was going to get to work with Tara Strong.
Oh, yeah.
And some other people, some other really great talent, playing this character that came from, you know, another world and was going to assist Ben making sure his program stayed together. So we did the series and many episodes in the series, and then of course the Ben 10 movie.
Yeah. Yeah, which was super epic. I mean, your character kind of came in, and I don't know if they intended for him to be such an integral part, but he was just a really great character. I really like Tetrax a lot.
I enjoyed playing Tetrax as well, and someplace back there on that wall with stuff on it, there's a picture of the Ben 10 crew.
Oh, wow. That's epic. Well, it's definitely a show that grasped me because it's very like superhero meets aliens meets, it's just very unique. And I've talked with other actors before who've been a part of it in one way or another, just kind of cameos, one-offs and that kind of thing. And I've mentioned how unique it is and how it could almost join the Marvel or DC universe because it's so, there's all this alien stuff and you're like, Vilgax could somehow be the brother of, Thanos or something, and then like you've got this tie-in to Ben 10, and I just think it's so wonderful and so out there and just unique that this little boy can change into all these different aliens.
Oh man, it's a
just
cool story, and Mom and Dad never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Son, where have you been going off to for seemingly days at a time? What's going on in your bedroom?
Yeah, I saw a flash of light. What's going on? I'm fine, Mom. Like, what's happened to your voice? No, but yeah, Tara Strong, such a lovely young woman. She's done so many crazy cool things, and it's great that you got to partner with her and that other great cast of people.
And it's funny because in the video game world, we're also in a lot of games together, but of course you never work with other actors in the video game world, so you don't find out till the game's out and you go, oh hey, Tara and I are on that one too.
Oh wow, we worked together. I had no clue. That's funny. Well, another great character that you played, one of my absolute favorite franchises, Marvel's Black Panther. You played King of Wakanda. You played T'Chaka, the father of T'Challa, in Ultimate Avengers 2, which came out in 2006. It was Ultimate Avengers 2 Rise of the Panther. And what was it like getting to be T'Challa's father on that one?
Well, this was great. There was a part of me, I wanted to play T'Challa. I think I auditioned for both.
Yeah.
But I got the daddy role. And that was the point I went, well, I guess the gray hair is beginning to show up in my voice. But one of the things I liked about it was these were Africans and Black people and who were becoming heroes in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but every now and then, some of us Black people have not really felt like we were, being allowed to participate.
I understand.
In the party that is America.
Yes.
So that was really good, and it was a great part.
Oh yeah,
it was a great part.
Yeah.
And why not have as much mythology and adventure on the African continent as we do in Europe, in America, in Asia.
Yeah.
I think we need to add a little more South American stuff, but we're getting there. Despite kind of a throwback now to we want our old country back. The world is not going to go backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Americans come in all shapes, sizes, colors, religions. And I like the fact that so much of entertainment now, not just the cartoons and video games, reflect that.
Absolutely. Well, I've always loved the Black Panther character. I think, the story of him and his father and just their nation as a whole is amazing. And I grew up as a boy in Africa. I lived there for 3 years as a teenager. And so there's like this special place in my heart for Africa and this special place for like the Black Panther, just because I've been there. And so like sometimes when you see something like a hero from that country, you have this like connection with them. Like when I talk to actors from certain shows, then when I rewatch those shows like Ben 10 and Black Panther, Ultimate Avengers and stuff, like when I rewatch these things and I've talked to you or some other actor from those shows, it just makes them that much more like, whoa, like, cause I've talked with you, I've shared your story with others. And then hopefully it makes other people feel the same way, more connected to the projects.
Oh yeah, where in Africa? Wow. I am getting to interview.
I lived in South Africa in Johannesburg, and we lived there for 3 years. My dad did medical work there as a nurse, so it was really cool, growing up there in Johannesburg. Very beautiful country, and the way it's portrayed on TV is just not what it truly is. They have cities and they have houses and stuff, and people always think, oh, you lived in a hut, a mud hut. And I'm like, no.
I can't help but think it's on purpose that we don't see, and I mean, South Africa people know about, I
Yeah.
think, because of Johannesburg and apartheid and that struggle. But when you go to West Africa and you're in Togo and Nigeria and Liberia and all those kind of major cities,
Yeah.
and very cosmopolitan.
Oh yeah.
Not what we typically are fed
Yeah.
as the picture of Africa. And of course, South Africa is beautiful. My very best friend in the world, who's no longer with us,
Oh.
moved to South Africa years ago, and he lived in Joburg for a while and Cape Town.
Oh,
And he
love Cape
was
Town.
just enthralled with the beauty of Cape Town.
Oh yeah.
Now, he did say you better park your car in the garage and tie down everything because theft is huge there. And he said, and be careful even with the monkeys. If you're walking down the street and I think it was Cape Town or Joburg, I forget which one. The
It's Cape
monkeys
Town.
are bold, and if you're trying to eat food outside, they'll just take it from you.
Yeah, we had some fruit ripening in our window at a resort we stayed at there in Cape Town, and there were monkeys that came up and were literally hitting the glass trying to grab the fruit, because they are very aggressive and they want what they see. But yeah, you do have to be very careful with your belongings with the animals and sometimes the people. But
sometimes the people, absolutely.
But it's a beautiful country, and seeing the oceans merge there at the point in Cape Town where you see the two oceans coming together and the colors don't blend. It's just gorgeous. I mean, it's just a beautiful country, and it really isn't portrayed the way that it truly is sometimes, so.
And my other South African connection, I did some narration for National Geographic.
Oh, cool.
I think it was National Geographic. And one of the shows was about the great white sharks.
Oh, wow.
Down off the coast of Cape Town, going after the sea lions.
Oh yeah. Well, the seafood is really good down there, but I'm not personally a shark. But
I hear you.
But no, beautiful country. But getting back into some of your voiceover stuff, another cool character you have played that I am super infatuated with, and I love to see him coming more into the limelight now as a fictional character, but becoming more realistic each year, I think, is Lucius Fox. You played him on Batman Arkham Knight. You played him on Batman Dark Flight, on Batman the Telltale series, and Batman the Enemy Within. What has it been like to come back and revisit Lucius Fox so many times?
Well, one of the wonderful things about my career, and surprising and joyous, is that I've been able to be a part of so many great, iconic properties.
Yeah.
And Batman being one of them. I love the fact that I've gotten to play Lucius Fox so many times, and in so many different projects.
Yeah.
He's an iconic character. It gives me a little Morgan Freeman association. So I love it, and I love the character. And once again, hate to come back to it again. Actually, I don't hate to come back to it again, but it's another example of inclusiveness of all Americans.
Yeah.
And to have such a great character who's helping Batman, and have him be a black man. And in some ways, Alfred helped us with the ageism.
Yeah.
Because Alfred's an older guy. But it warms my heart. I'm very proud to have played Lucius Fox.
But not only is Lucius Fox a strong African-American male, he's a very intelligent man who's an inventor. He's just brilliant when it comes to all kinds of aspects. He's not just one expert in one field. He's an expert in multiple fields. And it really shows the diversity of the culture as it's changing more. And as we see Lucius Fox's character develop more in animation and in live action shows like Gotham on Fox. So.
Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you what's also interesting is, all people come in, well, we were talking about all sizes and so forth, but all people come in all ranges of intelligence levels of education.
Yeah.
As a black actor, there was a period where, another pimp part. Oh gosh. So when you begin to see parts open up that cover the gamut.
Yeah.
We're on television now. somebody playing a doctor. Well, maybe it's a black guy, but maybe it's an Asian woman, but maybe it's this, that, because it just doesn't matter, because this is what our society is now.
Yeah.
It's some of everybody doing some of everything.
Yeah, true.
You don't feel so bad playing, okay, I'm a black guy, but I'm playing a bad guy, because there's so many images of good black characters.
Yeah, yeah.
We're, despite the fact we're not there yet, we've come so far, and I think we're going to continue going.
Absolutely.
Little backlash just at the moment, but we're going to overcome that.
Progress in the long run.
As an American people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of another really strong African-American character, because the world of Star Wars is very inclusive, as we all know, Lando Calrissian is a character you played, and wow. That came out, video game 1999, called Star Wars X-Wing Alliance. What was it like to play Lando Calrissian?
Oh, man. It was amazing. I remember getting the audition, and I don't always remember, because you audition on thousands and thousands of things, and most things you aren't going to get. I remember when that came through, and I was a Star Wars fan. I thought it was great when Billy D came on to Star Wars playing Lando Calrissian. So I went back and looked at Lando Calrissian, and I tried, without trying to sound like him.
Yeah.
I tried to get the same kind of feel.
Yeah.
In the audition, and apparently I did, because they hired me for the part, and it's something I'm very proud of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but Lando is just super iconic. He's suave. He's smart. He's sly. He's cunning. It's just like a really cool guy. I mean, one of the coolest characters.
It's a tremendous part to play, because he operates on several levels.
Oh yeah, and you never really know where he's at, because he's very he keeps it from himself almost. Like, you don't really know where he's coming from.
He plays it close to the vest.
Yeah.
You're not sure if he's really, a good guy working for freedom from the Empire, or is he an opportunist that's gonna, sell you out at some point?
Yeah, very true. Well, I think it's very awesome that you've played that character. Another very iconic character that you have played is Nick Fury himself. And you did that on Ultimate Spider-Man, the video game, in 2005, and then Spider-Man Battle for New York, the video game that came out in 2006. And what was it like getting to play Mr. Nick Fury himself?
Once again, I was in awe that I was getting A, to be on such an iconic property again, and B, to play such an iconic character. It was wonderful. It doesn't get any better than that in a voiceover career. That not only do you get to work, because generally that's what you're looking for. I want to, be a voice actor and work.
Yeah.
But to be able to work on some of the biggest properties ever and play some of the most iconic characters ever, hey, it does not get any better.
Well, it's great because you have such a Marvel and DC connection to those entities that are, very big comic books, comic book franchises, but also these other crazy cool things like Ben 10 and others that are starting to develop outside of those worlds of the comic industries that are very iconic characters. And now, of course, Star Wars being pulled into the Marvel / Disney / because they're the Marvel Comics is producing Star Wars, but it's all through Disney. So it's very wow, how everything has come full circle.
Oh boy, ain't that the truth?
But wow, Nick Fury is definitely a character who's become very iconic, and it's been very cool to see his shift with Samuel L. Jackson really kind of being the image for that transition. So you've got a connection to Samuel L. Jackson, a connection to Morgan Freeman. So you've really got this tie into these legacy characters that have just had a legacy of amazing actors, and you yourself are an amazing actor.
The only thing I'm missing is their money.
But you are really well known. I mean, and if you're not known, that's why you're on my show, so that more people can know about you and, grasp onto this career that you've had. And what we're talking about today is just a fraction of what you've done. But these are some of your extremely big highlights. And so I'm really glad we were able to get you on the show today.
Glad to be here.
We've got a few more things we'll cover today. One of them was Korath, and you played him on Guardians of the Galaxy, the animated series. And what was it like getting to play Korath on that series? Another Marvel franchise.
Another Marvel franchise. Another just iconic, especially now movie number 2 came out.
Yeah.
Watched it. I loved both of those movies.
Funny as heck.
By the way. So
Funny.
it was great to be on that cast. Great to play Korath. Now, featured a lot in the first season. Haven't seen much of him since.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that the not only will the cartoon continue, but they'll bring Korath back.
Yeah.
But once again, and it's funny because, I'll tell people, oh yeah, I'm in Guardians of the Galaxy. I play Korath. If you saw the movie, that's a Jaimin Hansu part.
Well, and he's a great actor too. I mean, he's done a ton
man.
of amazing roles, and I love him, especially in The Island. It was a great movie. You remember that one?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
I love that movie.
With Ian McGregor, and oh man,
Yeah.
it was just great cast of people. But speaking of Ian, he played Obi-Wan in Star Wars, and I know a lot of people know Star Wars, and we've talked about Lando Calrissian, but another time you got to revisit Star Wars was on Star Wars The Clone Wars as Pong Krell, the Jedi Knight, who was a basilisk, who had the 4 arms. He had the 2 double lightsabers. What was it like getting to play an iconic... Well, I don't know if he's iconic, but he's become iconic to me because the Star Wars, the Clone Wars series was just amazing. And it was unique to see how they took this perspective on this Jedi. What was it like getting to play his character?
Well, it was wonderful. And you can't quite, well, actually, you can see me, but I don't know that you're going to have this. But I have my little Pong Krell right there.
Lego.
It's a Lego Pong Krell.
I love it. I love it.
That was one of the most fun characters to play. And once again, as with just about everything else, I auditioned, got the part, got to go in. I was thinking it was going to be, one session and done, but it turned out to be a 5 episode character arc. And I don't know if I should spoil it. It's been out for a while. People should know. But Pong Krell is a Jedi, but he goes over to the dark side. And just some of the most epic, not only conversation and dialogue from him, but the battle scene where they finally capture him is just amazing. So real happy and fortunate to have played Pong Krell. My only issue is they killed me off in mid-sentence.
Well, one of the things I will say about Pong Krell is I think, and I'm not just saying this because you're on my show, but I literally think his arc was one of the best ones they had in the entire series, because you don't see the Jedi done that way ever, really. I don't think in anything. No feature films, no animations before that. And so to see him be this, he's a hardcore Jedi. We understand. We kind of know where his race comes from a little bit. But you're kind of going, okay, maybe he's just a wee bit too hard. And then we find out his distrust in the clones, which is rightly placed, but we don't necessarily know that yet, considering where the story is coming from, but we do know as Star Wars fans. And then to see him be on the dark side all of a sudden, and then we're like, what? We thought you were good, but you were kind of, twisted a little bit or a little dark. And then you're all the way to the dark side. And then there's just so much diversity with his character. You're not expecting it. And in 5 episodes, they cover so much. It's mind blowing.
Yeah. It's a great character arc. And once again, another part that, some things in your life they cannot never take away from you.
Yeah.
And playing parts like Pong Krell, having that's in the world, that's in space, it's everywhere. That's something that I will always have.
Well, and it's canon, so he is now part of that massive universe that people call canon and know as part of the lore of Star Wars, which super iconic. He's one of those characters you're not going to forget. It's not like, oh yeah, that Pong Krell guy. No, you know Pong Krell because he was,
When I go to conventions, to sign autographs, meet fans, take selfies, and that kind of thing, Pong Krell is one of the top 3 characters that people mention. And when I first went, and I don't know if you're going to talk about the Walking Dead at all, but when I first went, it was that character, Lee Everett, that I play, that most people still want autographs of me as that when in that picture. But Pong Krell is right up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's so cool and unique because he takes over the command of Anakin Skywalker's troops, which I think is another huge reason why he's so known. It's not just Pong Krell, leader of whatever troops, it's Anakin's troops. And you're going, what is going on here? You know, it doesn't make any sense. You're kind of thrown for a loop as to why he's called back and Pong takes over. So there's a huge tie-in, and it really makes him come to the forefront, and I love it.
Send in more of those clones.
CT5767 doesn't call them by their names, but calls them by their classifications, you know, and it's like, whoa, dude, he really has no attachment to them whatsoever, you know, as people.
No, they are not sentient beings as far as he's concerned.
Yeah. Well, you know, you mentioned Walking Dead. Tell us a little bit about your involvement with that series.
The Walking Dead game, they were working on it, Telltale Games, and apparently they had actually hired somebody to play this character, Lee Everett. They had done a whole episode and decided whoever it was they hired wasn't working. Now, I don't know who that was, don't want to know, but I got a call to audition, and they said, look, this guy was a Southern guy, is a college professor, found his wife cheating, killed her and her lover, and is on his way to prison. And the zombie apocalypse frees him. Wow! And to find redemption, he happens upon this little girl whose parents had left her while they were out of town, and he takes it upon himself to make sure she is safe. And it is one of the best relationships ever in a video game. It was a video game that changed video games in terms of narrative story.
Yeah.
In one of the most iconic property worlds, The Walking Dead. And that actually is the number one character that people remember me for. I would love to have some other parts that at least equal that.
Yeah.
But it's such a unique relationship. It touched so many people's hearts. The thing I heard that I still hear from fans is I've never been emotionally involved with characters in a video game before, and B, Lee and Clem in their goodbye made me cry. And this is grown, big, burly guy. You made me cry.
Wow. Well, I mean, The Walking Dead is a franchise in itself that is very well known, but the aspect of your character in that series for the game has really become extremely iconic. Like you said, you know, it's become emotionally changing, and it's made people think in a way that they never thought they could about video games. And I think it's amazing. I really do.
Yeah. The game won 100 Game of the Year awards. I was nominated as Best Voice in a Video Game 6 times. I was nominated for a BAFTA. Got to go to London for the ceremony. I didn't win, damn it. But I did win the Machinima Award and the DICE Award for Best Performance that year. And it really, in many ways, I won't say changed my life because I was working before, but I went from being that character actor, and in this case, because you hear me, that, I know that guy's voice. Yeah, I like his work. Oh, he's always pretty good. No, I don't know his name. To being, that's Dave Fennoy. It's kind of like those Oscar nominees, whether they win or not. After they're nominated for an Oscar, we know their name.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very life-changing in the sense that more people do know you and do follow your career more now because you have become an iconic actor through your nominations and through your wins. So congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Because Machinima is well known.
Hey, people hiring, casting folks, did you hear that? I'm iconic, damn it. I'm iconic.
Well, speaking of iconic, you know, one of the ways that I like to get people in touch with you is social media. Do you have a way that fans can reach out, or maybe even people that are looking to hire you for stuff in the future?
Oh,
Dave?
Absolutely. I'm easy to find. They can visit my website, davefennoy.com. They can follow me on Twitter at Dave Fennoy. Dave Fennoy is Instagram as well. And also, a part of my career now is also teaching.
Oh, wonderful.
I do a workshop, a 2-day workshop, voice acting for video games that I've traveled around the country doing. And in London, I'm about to take my 4th trip to do this workshop in London. And I do private lessons and webinars as well. Because I mean, I've been doing this for about 25 years. It's over 25 years. Oh gosh, I'm kidding. No, I've been doing this for a good long time now. And one of the things I enjoy almost as much as working on projects is teaching other people how to do what I do.
Awesome. That's great. Well, I mean, I always love when my special guests are also teachers because it's another way that people can connect with you. Because one of the reasons I do my show, Dave, is not just to help people discover voice actors more from a perspective of not knowing them before, but also I hope, that some of the people that listen to my show are enthusiasts so much so that they want to join the world of voiceover. So when my special guests share that they teach, it's wonderful because it gives my listeners a chance to become students and not just listen to, but learn from the masters.
Well, thank you.
And as you are a Jedi Master, it's very appropriate.
Yes, I am.
So
may the Force be with you.
I love it. Dave, what is the advice you would give to those people who are listening who are such an enthusiast that they want to join this acting world of voiceover?
Well, the keyword is acting. That is the key word. It's not about what your voice sounds like. It's not about the number of characters you can do. It's about how much life you can bring to those characters. I'm approached all the time by people. Oh, hey, I do a lot of funny voices. and all of that's great. But you have to give those voices life. They need a backstory. They need, why are they the way they are? What is their worldview? What was their childhood like that brought them to the place that they are?
Yeah.
Acting, and may I say one more time, acting.
I love it. That's great advice. Very solid, very to the point. And without acting, there is no voiceover because it's one and the same.
Absolutely.
I love it. I have one final question for you today, Dave, and we will wrap this interview up.
Okay.
The question is, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Wow. Am I that old that you're asking those questions now? Well, you know what? I want to leave a legacy of good work. I want to leave a legacy of being a good person, of sharing truthful information with my students, helping them, and joy from my performances with fans in a variety of video games and cartoons. I would like to be remembered fondly as somebody who brought some joy into the world.
Absolutely. I think it's fantastic. It's a wonderful legacy. And along with the, animations and other projects, the video games and stuff you've been a part of, also something we didn't really get to dive into today was Adventures in Odyssey. But we will definitely try to talk about that maybe the next time we have you on the show.
Well, I would love to come back. I love the fact that you are so prepared. When it's funny when you're at conventions and whatnot, people will come up to you and they will start asking you about, in season number 1 of such and such and such and such, and your character said so-and-so to this character. How did you really feel about that? And so often the truth of the matter is you've forgotten that you played that part. My experience of working is different than the viewer or listener's experience of playing the game or watching the cartoon, because I'm either in a room on a cartoon with a bunch of other actors or in a room by myself with no other actors and just a script on video games. So it's very different. They'll say, well, what was your favorite line from? I don't know as I'm doing them. They become favorite lines of people after the fact.
Because it's all in conjunction.
They're watching something or playing a game and a line comes back to them and somehow becomes iconic. But you don't know that when you're doing the lines.
Yeah, very true.
And after you've done thousands and thousands and thousands of lines, a lot of them you don't even remember until you see a performance or somebody reminds you of a performance and you go, oh yeah, that's Okay, yeah, that's the line.
I understand. I do. Because, a lot of times you may do a project, like you said, out of conjunction. And when it's put together as a whole, the viewer is seeing it in a light that you haven't fully seen yet necessarily.
Absolutely.
Because you stay so busy working as an actor, you don't have time to watch everything you've recorded.
Oh no, you're on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And the lag time between when you recorded a video game or cartoon and when that video game or cartoon comes on
can be a long time.
Weeks, months, sometimes years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dave, it has been an absolute honor and pleasure having you on the show today. Would you please just give us a special closeout as Pong Krell from Star Wars: The Clone Wars?
Well, first I must ask you a question, Trenton. Are you yourself a clone? I'll tell you what. I'll give you your closeout. This is Pong Krell, and I have two things to say. Don't be a clone. And secondly, make sure you don't miss an episode of Who Did That Voice? May the Force be with you.
Well, everyone, I sure hope you enjoyed today's episode with Dave Fennoy, the voice of Pong Krell from Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and so much more. And if you did, please find me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram by searching Who Did That Voice. I would love to hear from you. A question you might ask yourself is, where can I listen to Who Did That Voice? That's an excellent question. You can hear us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and our website at www.whodidthatvoice.co. Click the Episodes tab and listen away. Well, everyone, that's all the time we have for this episode. Join us next time for our special guest, Robert Axelrod, the voice of Lord Zed from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You won't want to miss this more phenomenal start to 2018. We'll see you next year. Hey, do you ask yourself who did that voice? Well, if you do, go to our website, www.whodidthatvoice.co, and click on the Episodes tab. Choose an actor, pick their name, and see pictures from the different characters they voiced in their career.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time for more discoveries on Who Did That Voice.